So when did you roll into town?
いつラスベガスに着いたんですか？
昨日ですね。
Yesterday got in.
You like Las Vegas?
ベガスはいかがですか？
いいですよ。
Yeah, interesting place. Yeah, cool place.
So you're
暑い
gonna,
けど、
It's hot. It's hot.
中に入ったら涼し
It's
い。
hot though, but inside it's cold.
hotter than Tokyo.
東京より暑いでしょ。
暑さが違いますね。
It's a different kind of
向
heat.
こうはジメッとした暑さ。
So we have humidity, lots of humidity in here. It's very dry.
So what was behind the choice to bring your next event to Las Vegas?
なんでクインテットをラスベガスにやる意味は何でしょうか？
もうなんですかね。呪術とかの実行とかも増えてますし。本当は一番初めこっちの方でやりたかったんですけど、それはタイミングが合わなくて。
Well, originally we were wanting to do Vegas first, but it just the pieces didn't fit into place in time. So we decided to do it after we polished the format in our home area in Japan. But you have a much larger population of grapplers here, and it's like a great first step towards the internationalization of Quintet. So it was a perfect place.
Speaking of the format, can you explain to viewers that maybe don't understand the format, what the format is for the event and how the tournament will work out throughout the night?
クインテットのことを知らない人たちのために、ちょっとクインテットのフォーマットをちょっと簡単に説明はできますか？
ですね。団体戦の説明ですけど、団体格闘技で個人戦なんですけども、それみんなチームを組んで5対5で、やるんですが、5対5なんですけど、1人目やって勝ったらもう1人次の人もやって順番でいって、5人チーム、負けさせたら勝ちっていう。
So first of all, it's a team fight, so it's a 5-on-5. Usually, like until now, grappling has always been like one-on-one, but in Japanese traditional martial arts such as judo, jiu-jitsu, you have the winner stays on format where the first fighters meet, and then whoever wins stays on to fight the next fighter on the team, and the object is to eliminate all 5 fighters on the opponent's team, and that's how you get a win.
And something I noticed as well is there's a overall weight limit for the team. So there's some strategy that goes involved with how you pick your team members to keep within that limit, correct?
総合体重っていう、
はい
あるので、やっぱそこら辺にはやっぱ戦略とかいろいろ考えるためのものですよね。
そうですね。普通に無差別にしちゃうとやっぱもうヘビキばっかりになっちゃうんで、いろんな体重混ぜてやった方が絶対面白いと思って総体重っていうのを決めてやりました。
So if you have like no limit at all, you're just going to have a whole bunch of big guys, and that's not, it's just not as interesting. You got to have you got to have different shapes, different sizes, different speeds going on in there. So it's better to set the weight limit and then have teams work it out for which way they're going to focus.
And can different weight classes fight different weight classes?
だから前回の試合の時もちっちゃい人が結構2メーターぐらい190ハイサム首取ってやつちっちゃいのがやっつけたりとかしたら結構そういうのが面白いと思うので。
So like in Quintet 2, you had 10th Planet Geo, who is much smaller than had Hai Samrita, who is a very big guy, and you had Geo submit him, and so you have exciting things like this that can happen. So yeah, what happens is the time goes, if there's more than a 20 kilo, I only know kilo, sorry. Yeah.
That's fine.
It's more than a 20 kilo difference, then the time goes from 8 minutes down to 4 minutes.
ものによってはだからドローっていうのも意味が出てきて、 でかいやつをドローにして落としていってで大将やっつけちゃえば勝ちになるんでそういうのが面白いと思います。
And one of the strategies is if you draw, both fighters are eliminated. So if you have your little guy up against a big guy, he has to last the 4 minutes. If there's no submission, then they're both eliminated. So that's where some of the strategy also comes in, is how to take out the other team's monsters.
Oh, and you were one to fight people outside of your weight class, fight bigger guys in MMA. Did this idea of fighting outside the weight class come from that?
結局桜庭選手は今までは何度も自分の階級とは全然違う、体重の選手とやってきたので、やっぱりそういう動きがあるからこそこういうような試合ができたんじゃないかなと。
もうそれいうのもありますよ。よく赤い選手とかにはもっと大きいやつとやってそいつをやっつければ美味しいだろうっていう美味しいっていう言い方もあれですけど、それが格闘技の面白さだと。
そうですね。So what of course he's had that experience, and so he's always telling younger fighters, fight guys bigger than you, because when you win, it makes a much bigger impact. It's a lot more exciting. It makes the sport that much more interesting.
I'm sorry. If I'm not wrong, you have never fought MMA in the U.S. And you fought Metamoris here in California. Why and what's the difference between fighting submission here, not MMA?
MMA はアメリカではやったことはない。
ありますよ。ダイナマイト USA。
Dynamite USA, he fought MMA in Los Angeles in 2007. But against Hoist, that's right. で、このアメリカで MMA にあるのとグラップリングにあるとはどこら辺の意味が違いは何かありますか？
いや特にはないんですけど、やっぱりなんていうの、ルールを少しいじくことによってやっぱり寝技ってどうしてもつまんないっていうイメージがあるんですけど、もうちょっと面白い寝技を皆さんに見せられることができるかなと思ってクインテットのルールとかも考えてるんで、知らない人が見ても多分面白いと思います。あとそのチーム戦のドラマみたいな感じとかもあるし。
So, with MMA, the format is quite well known. People know what to expect, how to enjoy a fight. When it comes to pure grappling, they don't always know how to do it. A lot of grappling events end up being very boring to somebody who doesn't know the ins and outs of the sport. And so what we try to do is we worked on the rules in such a way so that that Quintet could kind of bridge the gap and be an exciting sport to watch for people who don't know everything about grappling. It's because it's a team fight. It's easy, the drama is there. It's built in. You see the rest of the team cheering for their man. You see when the man comes back, when he loses, when he wins. We have the camera on those corners during the whole event because it's such a big part of what makes Quintet so exciting. And it's easy, it's just easy to watch. If you know your team is ahead or behind, you don't have to know what kind of lock has been used or submission.
あとはやってる側と人間としても必ず誰と戦うって決まってるわけじゃないんで、前の人が負けちゃったら僕そいつと戦わなきゃいけないし、勝ったらね相手が変わるわけじゃないですか。1対1でなんていうのイメージしてるとちょっと違うので、もうめちゃくちゃ緊張するし、でチームのメンバーが勝った時はめちゃくちゃ興奮するんで、そういうチーム戦の面白さを伝えることができたらいいかな。
So what he really wants to express through the use of the teams is that the level of emotion is much different, much more different. It's like when you're having a one-on-one fight, you know who you're fighting. You research that person's moves and you know what you're going to do. You have a strategy for that person. But when you don't know who you're going to be fighting, if the guy ahead of you loses, then you have to fight his opponent. and you have to then think what kind of strategy you're going to do. So you have no idea who you're going to be up against. That's one of the exciting things about this format.
だからその5人いるじゃないですか。5人いたら5人の戦い方をイメージをしとかないと誰が当たるか分かんないので。
Since you have no idea of the 5 on the other team who you're going to be facing against, you kind of have to have an image of what you would do against each particular fighter. So it's more of a well-rounded strategy that you have to come to the mat with.
So we'll talk a little about the matchup. So once the first fight happens, you don't know the order of the next ones. It could be a pick 'em as it goes. As for the next follow-up 4 possible opponents, there's no set order. Or how does that work out?
I'll just go ahead and answer that. There is a set order.
Okay.
There is a set order. The Senpo is the very first fighter. It's first position on both teams.
Okay.
And we basically announce the full order,
Okay.
usually the day before. That's when we make the big announcements about who's going to be, in what order it's going to be for each team. This morning we just announced that the first fighter on Sakuraba's team will be Sakuraba himself, and the first fighter on Urijah Faber's team, Team Alpha Male, will be Urijah Faber. So that matchup is definitely going to happen. But the rest of the order will have to wait till the day before the fight, and that they have basically a day to think about what they're going to do. 今ね、順番はね、どうやってね、順番を決める。Then one thing that's interesting, 説明してみましょう。千秋さんにそのまま説明してもいいんだけど。
順番はまあ適当ですかね。
まあそういうんじゃなくてそのルールの話で。
ルール。
そうわかりました。So like if your team wins and you've used 3 of your fighters, then you have 2 fighters who have not gone on. So when you go to the next round, they have to start. So you have to start with those 2 guys, and then the rest 3 you can put in any order.
Gotcha.
What gave you this idea of doing it this way?
この今の言ってたその勝ったチームが使ってないファイターを一番最初に戦ってもらうというルールはどこら辺から
それはあれですか、どうしてもね、名前は出てるけど試合をしなくなっちゃう選手がいるので、
そうね、出ないと思ったね。
そういうルールにして。
It's most important that you've announced 5 members of your team, and the first 3, if they win the first round, you don't want to have fighters that haven't been in the event at all. So that's why having them start at the beginning is what is a much higher chance that every fighter will have competed at least once in one match.
But what was the inspiration to come up with the new game plan, the new way of doing grappling this way?
もともとのこういう勝ち抜き戦っていうインスピレーションはどこから得たの？
それ柔道とか見てて面白い。僕はもともとレスリングで同じ階級の人しかこうやったことはないんですけど、同じ階級でこういっちゃうと途中でやっぱりチーム戦なんで多く取ったらもう途中で分かっちゃうじゃないですか、勝ち負けが。じゃなくて勝ち抜き戦で全部落とさないと勝てないっていうのは昔から日本にある柔道とか剣道とかではあるので、これ使ったら絶対面白いなと思ってやりました。
So he comes from wrestling where you basically fight your own weight, but judo and jiu-jitsu, these kind of sports, they have already from way back when that tradition of fighting the winner stays on type of tournaments. So it was just a matter of adapting that idea to the grappling format.
I think this was maybe speaking to why he was trying to keep the fights exciting. Can you explain, I believe, the decision that there will be no closed guards and no single joint locks allowed in the competition?
これは、試合がもっと面白くするためっていう流れだろうけど、なんでクローズガードはダメにした理由は？
それはクロスガードはダメなんじゃないです。やってもいいんですけど長時間はダメ。あとはジャンピングで、怪我しちゃうトーナメントなんで怪我しちゃうと次出れないじゃないですか。で一人抜いて戦うのって話じゃないですか。だからなるべく怪我をないように だからクロスガードは禁止じゃないし、
It's not.
やってもいいけど長時間やったらダメ。
It's not that close guard is illegal. It's that you can't hold that position for a long time. And there's a couple of different reasons for the rules that are in place. Some of it's to keep the action going. Some of it's to protect. So like knee attacks, jumping guard, this kind of thing will, is to help protect against injury. Because if you have a fighter injured in the first round, you're only going to have a 4-man team in the second round, and so that would be unfortunate.
だからお客さんが見て知らない人が見ても面白いんだっていうのを見せたいんで。
Basically, the main idea is that the fans in the seats, when they're watching, they are going to have a good time. They're going to see a good match, even if they don't know a damn thing about grappling.
Sure. Finally, I'd love to get your thoughts on your first opponent, Urijah Faber.
一番最初の相手、ユラヤ・フェイバーに対するちょっと印象とかそういう思いは。
僕決まってないですよ。
決まってます。
決まってんすよ。
決まってます。
まあ別に。
He's saying, "Oh no, is that official?" He's just. He's like, is that official? I'm like, yeah, that's official.
順番オーダーは変えますよ。
He said, I'm going to change the order.
まあでもめちゃくちゃ強そうなイメージは。
But he does have, his impression that he's a very strong fighter.
What did you think of his MMA when he was fighting MMA?
MMA の時のユラヤ・フェイバーのはなんか見た。
すみません、僕あんまり普段見ないです。
So question always comes up, like what kind of MMA fighters? Like he's like, I don't really watch MMA anymore. 最近はなんか最近はなんか見るの。
最近自分で見るのはなんだろう。昔のプロレスだった。
Recently, he's been into like watching old pro wrestling.
Who's your favorite pro wrestler?
一番好きなプロレスラーは。
一番好きなプロレスラー。いやー、わかんないですね。
That's a tough one.
まあでもタイガーマスクは好きでしたけど、昔タイガーマスクが好きで格闘技始めた。
So, but Tiger Mask was one of his first. That was his entry into wrestling. Was Tiger Mask? He fell in love with that character, and so that's what got him into wrestling.
You dressed up as Tiger Mask for at least one of your entrances into Pride.
一回ぐらいはプライドでタイガーマスクのとして登場したことはありますよね。
確かあります、はい。
Yeah, there were at least once.
Will you come in with the entrance for this also?
今回の入場は何か考えてますか？
いや、特には考えてないですけど、これ今にほらチームで入ってくるんで5人で入ってるからどうでしょう。一人一人転ばしちゃうから。
So he said now there's a team, so it's it's a little bit different dynamic. He said maybe I'll just have him roll up in the ball and I'll kick him into the. But nothing
4
planned
人転
yet.
ばして最後に自分が。
So he said okay. His idea is he'll kick them along, rolling them into the arena, and at the end he'll trip and fall himself.
みんな回転してるんですよ。
Yeah.
Will competitors be allowed to wear masks if they want to?
試合中は覆面はありですか？
いや、あれそこまでルール決めてないですね。でも多分やったらめっちゃ見づらいと思うんですけど。
There hasn't been a rule made about masks yet, but probably be really difficult to do. But there's no official no yet.
And is Team Sakuraba set? If so, can you share your team member lineup?
もうチームは決まってますか？決まってます。
僕らのメンバー、
はい。
大体ほぼ決まってるんですけど、
Almost set.
ただ完全確定ではまでは言ってない。
But not 100%. But we can mention Sakuraba and Souza brothers will be on the card, and Josh Barnett will be on the card, and 5人目はもう1回言ってるんですよ。
だから大輔を
But probably Daisuke Nakamura will be the fifth.
One question, please. Renzo Grace, he said like a few months ago that he would fight MMA against Sakuraba. Is that true? Does he want to fight? When this fight's going to happen?
ヘンゾ・グレイシーが何ヶ月前に、MMA で、MMA で桜庭と戦いっていう、興味あるようなことは聞きましたけど、これは実現されますか？
それはちょっとまだわからないんですけど、 MMA でやるよりは僕はクインテットでヘンゾがチームを作って出てきた方が面白いと思うんですね。
Sakuraba feels that, rather than MMA, he'd much rather have Henzo build a quintet team and meet him on the quintet match.
So no MMA fight against Renzo?
Right now, we're just building the quintet event, and so that's something that he wants to focus on for a while. So he's not thinking about MMA for the near future.